Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Ali here. Now, I don't know if you could hear the torrential downpour that is happening right now, but it's loud. It's one of those cold, gray, rainy AF days. I've got my comfy sweatpants on. All I'm missing is a big ass sweater and blanket because it is a little cold in here. But it's actually perfect weather for the topic of this video today, which is books. What better way to spend your rainy day than curled up on a couch or a comfy rocking chair with a big blanket, big cozy sweater, and a book. Today's topic is about consensual non-monogamy, open relationship, designer relationships, alternative lifestyle relationship books. Okay, and why I think and encourage you to read one, just one, even if you are not contemplating living this kind of lifestyle or experimenting with your partner and so on. I find them just so relevant to every human on this world, and I'm gonna tell you why. When I first started dating Gab, well, before I first started dating Gab anyways, I was single and I was not willing to commit to anybody but myself. I really didn't want a boyfriend. I wanted 2 to 3 lovers that did not come from Montreal, that we would be together and work together and have fun and connect a little bit emotionally, but not too much, experiment sexually together. And when we were apart, we would be doing our own thing, focusing on ourselves, and that's it. But then I met Gab and that kind of shook my world a little bit because, you know, the more I got to know him, the more I said, you know what, this guy's kind of cool. We have very similar values. We're vibing pretty well. It was the same for him. And, you know, we kind of became an item. I'd say we were pretty monogamous, you know, we were committed to each other, but we still wanted to experiment sexually, but not separate from each other, but together. This was the first time that I was going to be doing this with someone. I knew I wanted to try, you know, experimenting sexually with other women and so on. I was excited, I was curious, but at the same time, I wasn't sure how I would actually deal with situations once I was presented with them. Would I feel jealous? Would I feel intimidated? Would I feel uncomfortable, insecure? Like, I had no idea. It's one thing to say you want to do something and think how you'll feel about it, but once you're actually in that situation, you could feel a whole different way about it than you initially thought. What I did was, one, I got a therapist that was specialized in consensual non-monogamy relationships, just so I could have someone to talk to about the kinds of things I might be going through, someone that was non-judgmental, unbiased, and so on. I thought that it would be a really good strategy for me to deal with any emotions if they came up and how to work through them. And the other thing was to read. I wanted to start reading about how this kind of stuff works and what I'm getting myself into. Once I started going online and doing a little bit of research, the #1 book that kept popping up was The Ethical Slut, which is kind of like the consensual non-monogamy Bible, I guess you would say. It was a great read. I actually just got this book in the mail now. I used to have it on audiobook. Most of my books were on audiobook because I used to listen. I traveled a lot, so I never really bought hardcover books for a while. But now that I am steady for a bit, I am reinvesting in my library because I love having hardcover books. This was a great read, and following this book, I read a few others: Designer Relationship, Polysecure, The Smart Girl's Guide to Polyamory, and so on. What I found really surprising about these books was that, like, yes, they were helpful about getting my mind prepared or just giving myself space in my mind to think about things a little bit differently, consider different alternatives, looking at my relationships a bit differently, looking at myself a little bit differently. It talked a lot, obviously, about open relationships, consensual non-monogamy, certain situations dealing with those particular concepts and so on. But the foundations of all of these books was about basic communication, how to communicate with yourself, how to communicate with your partner/partners, because let's say in polyamory, you know, you're dealing with multiple people at once and not just one lover, how to deal with your emotions, how to deal with jealousy, how to communicate that, and so on. Like, such basic human behaviors that apply to anybody and everybody. As I read through the books, I said, oh my God, wow, you know, this is not only practical for me and my relationship with Gab, but for myself on a raw human level, This is such practical information and advice for me to apply to every single person in my life, every relationship, every human I come into contact with. It helps me make sense of my attachment styles, of why I am the way that I am with my relationships now, how I was raised, the relationships with my parents, the relationships with my siblings, how I formed friendships. It was just a really eye-opening experience. And every time I read one of these books, I said, man, this is so applicable to so many people. I guess it made me have a whole new found respect for the consensual, non-monogamy, poly, open relationship community and so on, because there is such an incredible amount of time spent working on bettering your communication, working on how to handle your emotions like jealousy, which by the way, doesn't only happen with a lover, right? Jealousy happens all the time between friends, between siblings, between family, between coworkers. So not just with lover, but like jealousy is such a huge emotion. And within this community, it is talked about so much because obviously it's like the forefront of everything. Like, how do you not get jealous of your partner being with somebody else? Jealousy can be a nasty emotion. It can be really painful. Again, working through jealousy in the context of consensual non-monogamy and so on applies to so many other aspects of our life. I just feel like this community, whatever you want to call it, consensual non-monogamy, open poly, whatever label you want to put on it, really step back and take the time on how to make relationships work. Because at the end of the day, we are all relational humans, right? Yes, I know some people think monogamy is the way to go, and you are meant to only be with one single person for the rest of your life. But that's not the one person that you communicate with and spend time with and relate to for the rest of your life. You're surrounded by hundreds of people all the time, every day, throughout your lifetime. You meet hundreds, thousands, whatever, as many people. You have relationships, friendships with new people all the time. And whether they're a lover or not, I just feel like there are so many things we can learn from these books. Just how to become better fucking people. That's what it comes down to. How to become a better fucking person, all right? How to manage your jealousy, how to be happy for other people. They talk a lot about compersion. I didn't know what compersion was until I read it in this book. I think it was The Ethical Slut. I can't remember now if it was in this book or another book, but what compersion is. Compersion is the opposite of jealousy. What is the opposite of jealousy? It means the utter wholeheartedness, happiness for somebody else, like actually being really, really happy for them that they're happy. Again, in the context of consensual non-monogamy, compersion is thrown around a lot, that if your, let's say, primary partner is happy in experiencing something special with their secondary partner or something like that, you have compersion for them. It makes you happy that they're happy. It's such a simple yet very difficult emotion or state of mind to be in for someone that I think a lot of us, most of us, if not, would have a really hard time getting to a level of compersion for somebody else. It's little things like that that I think that if you're watching my video right now and you're like, ew, consensual non-monogamy, like gross, poly, like you guys are disgusting, blah, blah, blah. Can you just for a moment take a step back and look at it from a bigger perspective and be like, you know what? That's quite interesting. I can learn something from them. Even if you don't want to participate in something like that. There's just really something fascinating behind the psychology of it, and I'm not necessarily poly, not even not necessarily. I know I'm not poly. Like Gab and I are pretty much in a monogamous relationship. We just like to experiment sexually together while respecting our boundaries and so on. And sometimes those boundaries change depending on the kind of conversations we have and where we are in life. But even if I'm not exploring or he's not exploring with different partners, these books just teach me how to be a better person in my relationship for myself and for my partner. It's fascinating to me. That's all I want to say about books. I am going to link the books that I read about consensual non-monogamy, designer relationships, and so on down below. If you want to check them out, you can. Again, if you're not interested in a lifestyle, that's okay, but I'm telling you, you can learn so much from the content of these books. It's just opened up a whole new door for me because now I'm really interested in learning more about sex and behavior, relationships and love and so on. My book library is growing. I mean, the stuff that I got going on right now is not necessarily only about relationships, but it's about sex sex in itself. It's about the female body. It's about orgasms. It's about clits. It's about pussies. It's about prostitution. It's about sex workers. It's about the history of the East and the sex and the West and all this stuff. Like, I'm just having a lot of fun learning and reading so much. So you guys can definitely expect me to be sharing more book content with you as my library grows and the more that I learn. And also, of course, please, if you have any books that you've read that really have helped you shift your mindset, helped you in your relationship, in your open relationship, in your poly relationship, whatever, please drop them down below. I would love to hear about your recommendations so I can go and check them out. That's it, friends. Stay tuned for the library chats. I'm gonna go get my big ass sweater now, sit in my rocking chair and read, because it's Sunday and that's what we like to do on Sundays when it's raining, right? If you want to support me as a creator and this channel, of course, you can click on the link below this video, which will bring you to my Patreon, which is a little bit like my intimate hub, as I like to call it. It's where I share some exclusive content with you guys, some Q&As, I get more in touch with the community and so on. And again, it's just a really helpful way to help me maintain and grow this channel. So if you're currently a member on there, I love you, I appreciate you. Bye everyone, je vous aime.